Is this an adventure or what? We don't need unexplained phenomena. I hope you guys are enjoying this journey we're taking you on. I know you come expecting to hear about big cats, cryptids, UFOs. We will touch on some of that, but I think it's worth sharing some of this with you, don't you? There's only 2 living souls up here today.
Because I can see it in my mind, I can see it in my head what I saw, but I can't describe.
Our eyes was closed, like a brightish light in my face, and I just felt paralysed.
Someone said there's something out there, so we had a look. It looked like a walnut. That's the only way I can describe it.
It was like it had loads of tiny little windows all over it, and it had lights in those windows, but not a light that illuminates.
Anyway, we were ushered into this lounge. This fella come in, he said, whatever you saw was a weather effect.
And everything is deathly silent. There's no sea, there's no wind, there's no night noise, because, you know, there's foxes all over here. There's nothing.
Nothing. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Truth Proof Sunday night. Hope you've all had a great weekend. Not a bad one myself. So let's see how this next hour or two goes, shall we? And I'm going to be joined by Jack and Ian and possibly Mark. We've already spoke to Mark earlier, probably 10 minutes ago, but he's having a few technical problems with his audio. So we'll either see him or we won't. And if not, we'll cope, won't we? I'm sure we do. So don't forget, as always, I'm not alone tonight. So Jack's here, Ian's here. They both spend as much time as I do up and around these areas. So if you've got a question, aim it at them as well, not just me. Send your questions or what you want to ask, capital letters, and we'll kind of run from there. Same applies to Mark if Mark gets on here. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Let's just have a quick look who's in chat. Let's have a look. 200 people already. So thanks for support, guys. So we've got Pointer, Magsu, Fortian, 23, Saxa, Disabled Welshman, Sober Carper. Let's have a look. Gem. Oh, that's my daughter, isn't it? I'm almost forgot who you were. Dragonborn, Phil Turner, Blue Shift. I think Lee's doing moderating as well as Gemma, Linda, Susan. We'll do a bit more name calling in a while, but... and we'll just call you 9211 because I can't read your name. And let's have a look. Ian Langton, Blue Shift Rob's good to see you, mate. And yeah, and Dragonborn's in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring Jack in. I'll bring Ian in. We don't just have to talk about things that we've been looking into around East and North Yorkshire and the things that we've experienced, but that's what we're going to do for the most part, I hope. But if you've got anything else that you want to ask Ian or want to ask Jack, just fire it out. Eventually I should get down to questions. So I'm right. I'm going to bring Ian in. I'm going to bring Jack in, and we're going to try Mark because he's just come back on. So I'll bring Ian in first. All right, Ian, you all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Paul. Hello, everybody.
Yeah, excellent. I'll bring Jack in. You all right, Jack?
Hey, Paul. Evening, all.
Excellent. I'll try Mark now. Mark knows if his audio is a bit off it, he'll probably not bother hanging around. But hello, Mark.
Hello, I can hear you all now, but I don't know.
Excellent. So we didn't think that was going to happen, did we? So excellent.
Good.
In the nick of time. Yeah, so great stuff. And I don't know how many years. I mean, Mark's been going up onto them cliff tops. How many years, Mark?
I don't know. I've been here 14 years, and I've been coming here for donkey's years, really. Yeah, I used to come over from West Yorkshire, and I used to come over from Yorkshire and sometimes at Bempton, sometimes on by Thornick. So yeah, well, I've been coming with my parents and my grandparents. So yeah,
do you think in that time? I'll just stay with you for a minute, Mark. Do you think in that time, amount of times you've been coming here, have you always had an interest in Unexplained, or is it in the last 8 to 9 years?
No, I think most of us. Us that go on cliffs, and maybe all these people that are online watching us now, I think we've probably all had this interest since we were kids, won't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think, does that cover it for you, Ian?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it quite a few times in the past. It started for me from my childhood, and then as you get older and a lot older, it stays with you. And for me, the interest has just grown and grown and grown, and you're just drawn to doing what we're doing day after day, week after week.
It gets a bit of an obsession, doesn't it? I mean, what about you, Jack? Because, I mean, you've been in area now obviously we met at conferences years ago, but
Years
you've been
ago,
in
yeah.
the area now for what, a few years?
It's a year, believe it or not. Yeah. But yeah, an interest dates back to childhood, certainly. Very little experience before that. But yeah, it's addictive. It is very addictive.
Yeah, before we'll get to some things in a minute, people. But I've got to admit, if I don't go up there, it sounds sad, doesn't it? You feel like you're missing something. You don't want to hear it off Mark, Jack, or Ian, or Pete that if you'd have been up other night, this happened, or somebody came up. Because for most part, it's not just us; it's a lot of other people, isn't it? Talking about it.
Yes,
There's
yeah,
more
absolutely.
people turning up now, isn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's quite a lot of people to just pop up out of the darkness and ask if it's Paul, and then come and tell us why they're there. And a lot of the times they have some quite good experiences and stories to tell.
yeah.
Well,
I mean, the
I
other
think-
Friday night there was loads, wasn't there? There was about 10 different people the other Friday night.
Yeah,
Just turned up.
Which is, I think Mark's the most, I don't know, unresponsive, and I don't mean that in a negative way, of all of us, because you'll walk down here and you don't, it's hardly ever that you see anything. It's like us all. But I mean, what night? Can you remember it, Ian? Jack, when he walked down, we says, "How's it been here?" Mark, and then suddenly,
it was quite a few months back now, wasn't it? Mark says his usual thing. Anybody seen out any big cats? And we all have a little chuckle about that. I mean, he's cottoned onto that now. He knows.
Yeah.
But this particular night, he asked us, and we hadn't seen anything. It'd been, again, another quiet night. And then he'd been there maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and he went, "Oh, yeah," he said, I saw an orange light on the path. And it's like, "Why didn't you say something?" He went, "Well, I didn't." So Mark might as well tell us a story now about that, if you can remember.
I think sometimes, when you see something, just for a second or two, it doesn't sink in properly. And you think,
Yeah,
I did see it. And I think that's an advantage where we're all stood on cliffs. And if there's one of them little lights on the floor, you'll see it and think, is that one? And you can say to the rest of us, did anybody else see that? And half the time, somebody else clocks onto it as well. And sometimes they don't say it either. So two of you then can confirm it. And it just makes it more convincing.
That's why I like a group of people, because I don't doubt you, Mark, Jack, Ian, but it's nice when you've got a collective and there's a few people seeing it, because otherwise it's just, God, this bloke's seeing all sorts. And do you know what I mean? But there's a collective. You're getting a bit dazzled, Jack.
Yeah.
You've just moved all to your curtains, maybe. I don't know. You're just a bit bright there. So what's been, you don't like that sunlight, Jack? It's going on you. So what would you say has been most interesting thing that you've experienced up on those cliff tops, Mark?
I've had that strange feeling. That was bizarre. Never felt anything like it. But when I was stood with you lot as well, when we saw them lights in the sea, that was so different. I don't think I've seen out before or since. Those lights under the surface, those were unbelievable. But then when we were all stood there that night and that orb or light was in you lot, you could all see it. But I sort of saw it in a different way to everybody else. I couldn't see it directly. I don't know what it was, but somebody was stood right in front of me, and that half a circle was behind him. So that light that appeared in front of us all, I couldn't see it, but I could see the light coming off it onto all the people. And that's the impression I got of it. So maybe everybody else saw the orb or light. I didn't see it, but I could see what it reflected out. And maybe I don't think anybody had seen that, because they'd have all been focused on the orb thing.
Good point, that, Mark. I mean, so could you see it like moving about, or were we just all illuminated? You
were all like illuminated, and the light coming off it were like moving onto you a bit.
Right.
Yeah, because you couldn't see it because you were focused on the light, and maybe your eyes couldn't see anything past the light. I don't know.
Well, I think Chris Mack will be watching this, and so he knows what I'm going to say. And you don't. I just couldn't take my eyes off his stomach. And I mean, I've talked about it loads, but from your point of view, any of you, what do you think?
I think just on reflection, you were standing in front of Mark, so that's you were blocking Mark's view.
Right.
That'll stay with me forever, no doubt about that. That was special. I know you talk about it, but you can't emphasize it enough how special it was for everybody. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Very, very much so. I mean, we call it between us now, the visitation, because we was 100% visited by something on numerous occasions. I think it was 3 times in all, when it came about.
Yeah.
I mean, it had started briefly a couple of weeks before that, but not to the extent of that, because it was just little flashes here and there, and then it turned up on Carl Dan's hand, and then on the floor, but nowhere near the size and the intensity of that time. But yeah, it was very special, was that? And I've got to say what you said, Jack. It'll be with me forever. Will that? It was definitely special. Definitely.
Yeah.
Go on, Mark. Sorry.
I was just going to say, yeah. Another thing, what we pointed out, a lot of the times, if we see something or experience something, we might have said this before, as I say, how did we feel about that? We asked that question, don't we? And while we were all there that night, we all consistently said it was amazing. We were all gobsmacked. We had no fear in it. It didn't frighten us. We were just amazed, weren't we? Well,
it was positive, weren't it? It were a positive feeling. Yeah, I've got to admit. Yeah.
Definitely.
So, I mean, me and Pete will be watching this. There's so many people. I know people are listening to this, and they're listening to 4 people talking, and hopefully you know what we're talking about, bulk of you, with this light, that because I've touched on it so many times. But there's a lot of what we're seeing involves light, doesn't it? Do you not think?
Yes, absolutely.
And that could be.
It goes back a long way as well, doesn't it? It goes back a long way from seeing the lights out at sea and then under the water to then we went for quite a period of time where we're seeking them like Tinkerbell type of lights that was in the distance, and then fairly close up to us, within 20 feet of us, maybe closer sometimes. So then it evolved. Well, I'm saying it evolved because how are we to know it's the same thing? But then the golf ball size, tennis ball size, whatever, it's all slightly different from our different perspectives. But yeah, what it was, don't know.
I think Chris Mack, we'll not labour on this one, but I think Chris Mack got best view of it because he said it had a blue aura to it, and we're almost fighting for life. It were getting smaller and then just pinged off into undergrowth, and it were away. It was so strange. But yeah. I don't know anybody in chat. We may get to it if we've got loads of questions. We may get to that. There's a question that don't quite apply, but I'll throw it out there because I know Mark. Well, we're all kind of outdoors people. So Mark finds himself in woods and forests, and we've got this question here: is the dog man in the UK? I mean, we'll not dwell on this for loads. If yes, can you talk about them? Do you know anything? Thanks. And what's your views on this? Is it all mythical? I mean, we've made Wolflands. I'm pretty convinced that they've seen something like what this man's describing.
Well, I'll say I've not seen it, but there's that many people that have seen it, and they're quite consistent. There might be small differences, but there's people from over there and then somebody from over there, and they're coming out with very similar descriptions of it, and they have the same feeling, and they're out in the sticks all the time when they've seen it. So there is some consistency to it, isn't there?
There seems to be. What's your views, Jack?
I would agree with Mark. I've not seen it personally, but again, there's been so many reported sightings just in this local area. It beggars belief sometimes just how many in it again, all consistent or very similar, little details, but roughly the same in this small area. It's, yeah.
What, any views, Ian? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I can't see how something like that can be sustained here and stay here all the time. So how it's popping in from anywhere else, if it's popping in at all. But one thing that I've just touched on what Mark said, it's most of the people are seeing these out in the open areas. But I do believe there has been quite a few reports of these things in urban areas and in people's houses. I think you've got some reports of that, haven't you, Paul?
Yeah, it's not just confined to remote forests and woodlands. People are seeing it, yeah, like you said, in urban areas. And what I like about, I think people outside of this think that I'm potentially making these stories up, but I know that you guys have at times have been with me when I've spoke to lots of witnesses. We couldn't create them witnesses for Wolflands. They're all people who've come forward. You've got to attach some kind of truth to it, I think, when you've got genuine people coming forward telling you these stories, and they're terrifying for most people.
Yeah. The lady who joined us up there a couple of weeks back, I mean, she came up with an oxygen tank.
Yeah.
And she did really well to get where she did. You know, she had to stop quite a few times, which is totally understandable. But she, in quite a long time ago, had a tremendous encounter with a dogman type of entity, and that's quite an harrowing story. What she's told to you, and whether you're going to do something about it in a later series, Paul, that's up to you.
Well, she were kind enough to let me film her, telling her the full story. And you know, we'll not do it here, and I'll speak to her about it before I do it in any detail. But yeah, you know, for a young child to see that, quite harrowing. Just before we leave this, Mark, and I know that that's not what you saw, but you were walking in some woodland and fields a few years ago, and you just put your torch on, and you saw an unusual animal, didn't you?
Yeah, I mentioned it on here before.
Oh, sorry.
And it was not far from Bempton. I had my torch on it, and it was halfway across the field. It was crouched over. It were on all fours, but it looked like it could have stood, but it didn't. And it just turned its head straight at me. I don't know what it was. It wasn't a fox. It wasn't a deer or a badger. It just didn't have that shape. My torch were red, so its eyes were red, so I can't say what colour its eyes were. And it just mulched off over to the left to the edge. I've been in that field a few hundred times. I never saw it before or again.
That's strange, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, I've got a little question here for you. Let's have a look at this. Do you believe the upcoming Disclosure film, well, I don't know what it is actually, with Emily Blunt, is a way to get the public used to the idea of UAPs and aliens? I reckon we might all be in the same boat here, Cottage, and I'm not sure what the film is.
No.
Anybody?
No.
No.
Not Emily Blunt, anyway.
I think it's the new Spielberg one.
Okay.
With Emily Blunt. I've not seen even a trailer of it, but I think she's involved in it, so I've got not much to say about it.
You can see how much TV we watch, can't you, guys? You know, it's there we go. Right, so Dragonborn, let's have a look. Each of you, if you could investigate somewhere, where would it be and why as a solo investigation? As a solo investigation, I keep saying it, but I don't think I'd get a solo one, but I'd love to go to Cairngorms and Ben McDew. You know, anybody? If we didn't call it investigation, then where would you go as a place of interest for strangeness?
I'd go to Topper.
Where's that?
Topper Street.
Yeah, what you would.
I think
That's where we use. That's where we usually go on holiday.
Topper Street.
Rendlesham, I think I'd like to go to Rendlesham, the forest itself. I've been to Bentwaters when I was still serving, but I never got a chance to go to Rendlesham. And
Okay. What about you, Ian? Mark? Anybody?
I've been all over in this country, north, Lakes, Scotland, but actually here, within an hour of where I am here, I think we've got everything here in our distance. In that distance, sorry. And there's such a variety here, isn't there?
There is, yeah.
Not just one thing.
And you've been. Go on.
I'd like to try. I know it's a bit cliche, but I'd like to have a look at Skinwalker.
Yeah.
Just to see if I could feel anything myself. Not, just to see it, just to get a feel for the place. Is it, like I think a lot of it is possibly overhyped, but who am I to say? Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, well, I've got a few bits of footage for us to go through in a minute, but I just want to jump to Mark. He probably not if thinks, what's he keep talking to me for? But the thing where you just said it, Mark, he says, I've been all over. So as an individual, you've no problem parking up and camping solo anywhere. I know this, and that's right, isn't it?
Yeah. I liked it today. It went overnight, but I had a run today up to Langdale, and I pedalled up to the back of RAF Filingdale. It was a lovely run, some lovely countryside up there, but I spoke to a chap in the forest, and I just brought it up in conversation. Had he seen anything? And he ran about some cats, so it was very interesting. I said, we're on tonight, hopefully he's watching tonight, and I recommended he'd contact you, Paul.
Yeah, brilliant.
Put some details, but he's been there 30 years, and he's had quite a few occasions where he's seen this thing in these woods. So I think we will value him when he comes over.
So then, Mark, we aren't going into massive detail because I know what you're like. I mean, you'll probably not want to until you know more yourself. Is it a cat he's seen in woods, or is it when you said this thing?
Oh, it's definitely a cat.
Right. Okay.
He seems to think there's more than one. Because he's seen them over 30 years.
Right.
So I could have chatted to him all afternoon, but we both had our way to go. He was going one direction, I was going the other on bike. We were an interesting chap, and I'm sure he was interested in the same subject as all us. I think it's valuable with some information in that area.
Well, that's brilliant, because I know when I've been into for us with Chris Wright, Chris spoke to a gamekeeper, and a retired gamekeeper, and he named one wood in particular called Spring Wood, where they'd been seen. But it's amazing. I mean, that's just one random person. We know that they're not paranormal, don't we? Do you know what I mean? We know that they're a living, breathing thing, but it's still fascinating. Well, when probably 99% of the population still roll their eyes and think they're not here. Do you know? So where we're going next? Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Down.
And well, I started this because of you doing a lot of wild camping and not being frightened of it. So I just want to stay with you for a moment, Mark, because I know that something bothered you, something frightened you, and I know you talked about it last time, but run us through it again because it's so interesting. I think we all found it interesting, didn't we? Because it had happened to Mark.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I didn't really know anybody else had it, and as I say, I've been coming here before I moved here. I've been walking up on them cliffs with my dog for the last 10 years while I've been here, and nothing bothered me at all. And then on that night, I just came up just for a walkabout. Maybe it was about 10 o'clock in my car, in my van, as usual, parked in car park. And then I got to the bird centre. If anyone's watching this and they know the area, if you come to the bird centre, you come to the end of the car park and the footpath starts, and you have a choice of going down to the cliffs, back up to the top end, or you can cut over at 45 degrees up the side of a field to a pond. Well, as soon as I walked through that gate, something just hit me as if somebody was stood right in front of me and they were going to do something. I didn't hear anything. I didn't see anything. So strange. I turned my torch on. Nobody there. So I walked then up the path, And as I walked up the path, it just got stronger and stronger. And there's a pond right at the top. And it was so strong up there. And I walked around the side, and there's a dirt track on the back. And it just carried on being there, this feeling. Still, obviously, nobody there, no noise. But it was the strangest feeling. And then as soon as I walked onto the dirt track at the back, it just lifted and it were gone. I walked back down the dirt track into the car park, and the thought of it was just, what was that? Why did I get that then? Why did it kick in at the end of the car park? And then why did it just lift? As I said, I didn't see anyone. So strange. So then the night after, I went up again just to see if it had kicked in again. No, nothing there. I had the thought, the fear of the thought of it happening again were there, but the feeling I had that night, nothing. And then I tested myself, I don't know, half a dozen times, and I walked down on path, nothing. So yeah, I've not had it before or since, but it was the strangest thing. And then when I brought it up with you lot, and some of you have had something very similar, I think, well, that is strange. Very. What is it?
I don't know. Any thoughts on it, Jack? Ian?
I mean, the only thing I've had similar was, as I told you, the walking along the canal up by Riverhead in Driffields, about 5 o'clock in the morning, still dark. I've done that walk a good few times. It wasn't fear for me, but I went into the dark, away from civilization, and I just felt a static rising through my legs and up, and my senses were just on edge. I got my torch out, looked around, nobody there, just kept on walking another 100 yards, and then just lifted on the way back, nothing at all. Yeah, so not fear, but I think something very similar to what Mark felt.
Yeah. You see, Mark said something that one of the witnesses in Wolflands said, Steve, and he said that weren't when he saw that creature, he said that weren't my fear that it were putting on him. And you said you didn't feel like your fear, Mark, didn't you?
No, it felt very different. I've not had a feeling like that. I had the feeling as if somebody were going to jump on me, or something were going to come to me, but it was I can't really describe it. And the other odd thing was how it switched on and then how it switched off at the other end. I think if you have a fear, it doesn't just switch off, does it? It's sort of it'll taper off till you think about other things maybe, or take your mind off it. But no, this just clicked on and clicked off.
Yeah, and for people that think, well, they're up there and they're frightening themselves, how many times has that ever happened to you, Mark?
Well, I've been up there hundreds of times, and before I even lived here, I'd been up there, and I've been out at night thousands of times, maybe, all over the country, on rivers and woods, and yeah, never.
No, that right. Thank you. So, what do you want to do? Shall we have a look at a bit of that footage?
Yeah, can do.
Just run it through. I'll just let me just have a look at this. Oh, one question. Sorry, guys. Maverick says, do you think progress is being made to explain things that we are obsessed with? Or are we just obsessed with just reporting high strangeness? Do you think progress has been made to explaining things, or are we just obsessed with high strangeness? What's your views? Kind of get his question. Anybody?
Well, I was talking to that fella today about different subjects along with his cats, and I was saying about ghosts. Some people see ghosts or that type of dogman thing. Well, a few hundred years ago, people were seeing nuns or grey monks, or they'd have a distinct colour or description of a ghost back then, or even a dogman. People, I think, saw something, and the description what they get from back then doesn't match what people see now.
No, but it's fitting in with time, though, Mark, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So is the thing what they are seeing back then exactly the same as what we are seeing from what we are seeing now, and it's changed in time for us?
I think so.
Yeah.
And if yours,
Yeah.
Ian?
Yeah. I
Sounds,
mean,
it
for
does
them to
sound,
describe things, you know what I mean? Because there was not many of them could bloody read and write, could they? Never mind, they didn't have access to books, did they? Whereas we have access to everything now. We can just look it up on the internet and find things and sort of like have an idea of potentially what you've seen. But back in them days, how would you describe it? I mean, is it the same thing, like a grey monk? Was it a monk, or was it a grey alien or something else?
It's difficult,
I
isn't
would
it?
love to know.
It is. And if yours, Jack, before we close that down?
I don't think we're making any progress finding out what it is at all. Are people obsessed? I think some people do get obsessed, but everybody has a curiosity towards the strange and unusual. So I don't know if it's an obsession, but people are drawn to that.
It's like we said earlier, and it kind of gets under your skin. I mean, we'll be up there 2 or 3 times this week in week, and we're not looking for something. I hope I'm speaking for all of us. We're not looking for something for sake of looking for it, because most of the time nothing happens, does it?
No.
It's just the fact that we know that things do happen. You know, I mean, even as simple as Peter's in chat now, who we wanted on here tonight, people. So we'll get him on eventually. But me and him were walking back to the cars. And we're together side by side. And Pete Broad Barnsley asked, "Did I see that?" Of course I saw it. And it was a silver thing, like shape of a bean can, of all things. We're not, obviously it didn't say baked beans on it. Silver just shot past his feet. And it was silver. Yeah, they're not the things that we're up there looking at things, and people think, oh, they're looking for some kind of structured craft or some figure walking on cliff tops. It's not like that most of the time. It's strange, quirky lights and things like I've just described, isn't it?
It's funny little things. I mean, going back to the fear thing. I mean, Dominic, who's maybe in the chat now, he came. We mentioned this before. He came down a few months back. He got 3/4 of the way down the path, felt frightened to death, turned round and went back to his car and did one, and then rung us up to say, was we up there? And we was maybe 20 minutes or so after that had happened, but we didn't feel anything. But it obviously got him, didn't it? It scared the life out of him.
How much of that do you think is brought on by hyping things up and saying things are strange?
Maybe, but I mean, he'd have heard Mark's story and our stories quite a few times, but he'd been up there quite a lot of times on his own to meet us totally in the dark, and it didn't happen. You know what I mean? Straight away, did it? It happened quite a while later.
Okay, here's one, which I don't. Me personally, I have no answer straight away. Is there a location that you might send volunteers to investigate and check out? Perhaps you don't get the time to do yourselves. This isn't me being. What would the word be? Power drunk or anything, but I won't want to send anybody to check out, to be honest with you. And it don't mean that you wouldn't do a better job than me. You probably would. It's just the fact that you know, you like to think to yourself, you want everybody safe, don't you? That's my views on that. I don't know anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of that new volunteers. I mean, people are. You've got to know they are and what they're about, because you could be sent down the garden path by some people, couldn't you? Unfortunately, you've come across people, I've come across people, everybody's come across people in different walks of life that are full of it. And potentially there could be, they might see the most genuine person and then come out with a whatever. But yeah, and you'd have to get some form of trust going first.
Okay, we're going to put a bit of this footage up, and I've left about 4 or 5 seconds in between each segment. If there's nothing to say between them, we won't do it. But we've kind of covered everything, haven't we, as regards these flashes of light and things. So some bits you'll have seen before, some you won't. So first one, guys, is I think I showed Mark it earlier today, and Ian's just seen it. It's no smoking gun of ufology, but these are kind of things we just film as a matter of fact, but if it's a satellite, it's shaped like an house brick. So I'll just put this up. 1 sec. Obviously, I've turned sound. Well, I don't know whether there were a sound. If there were, it might have been choice words. So there's no sound. So I'll take that off. Any views on that? Because I think we were all there when that was filmed. I filmed that one, didn't I? But we didn't make out of it, did we? Really?
No. There's a bit more to that than a single light, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's got to be. There's more to that than just a single satellite moving. It looks to me considerably bigger, more than one possibly.
We see a lot of that kind of stuff. I think you were there that night that were filmed, Mark, weren't you?
Yeah, and we see loads of planes, don't we? We'll see a dozen planes a night, and we'll see once they start, when it's dark, we see dozens and dozens of satellites. So we know what we're looking at, don't we?
Yeah.
But when something stands out like that, there was one about a week ago. I mentioned it to you this morning when you showed me that footage. It was a light that came over, and did we presume it was an aeroplane? But then it came round to the right and to the left, so bright that it didn't look like a normal aeroplane. Oh, no, it looked very, very different to me.
Yeah. I mean, because we see hundreds of satellites, don't we? Sometimes they're in great clusters of 7 and 8, aren't they?
And some of them meet shooting stars and they look fantastic, don't they? Some of them really like shooting.
But we know what they are, don't we? They're explainable. Do you know what I mean? But that square thing. I'll just put this next bit up. This is from me and Chris on Cliff Tops, and it's only a little bit. But but Chris added something else on Friday that he'd forgot about, and I'll tell you about it afterwards. So go on.
There it is again. And there's Chris. What is that? We've just been there.
So let's just remove that. So I'm just saying we've just been there because we'd just been all the way down, Mark, towards Black Cliff, and Jack and Ian. We'd just been right down. On the way back, walking in the darkness, there's two of us. Obviously, Chris is with me. I put the torch on and we light a figure up. And we're both looking at him. And he's not got it. He looks like he's got his back to us and he's quite tall. And I says, I'll turn the torch off because I don't want to dazzle him if he turns around. But then I went, you watch, he'll not be there when I put it back on. And he'd gone, which it really unnerved me. It kind of rattled me, to be honest with you. But we were walking then to where it was. We walked back to check. People could have probably seen that little film we'd put on. And then we walked over the brow of that hill, which weren't far away, turned around and saw that light. Now, you're all familiar with that area because other people have said it's a car. Or, people commenting that. What's at the back of that hill?
Nothing. I mean, there's a track between the fields a long way back. But on that particular part where you are there, I mean, as far as I can recall, it's one track that goes down from Speeton to Blackcliffs, and it goes left and it goes lower. So you'd never see that anywhere.
There's nothing above it. I mean, you've been up there, Mark, haven't you?
Yep. But looking at it, it might look a little bit different in reality than it does on a camera. But if we're up on that stand and somebody's off-road motor comes over the hill, we all know what it is, don't we?
Yeah.
So that on that film, to these people looking on here, might just look like a car coming over the back. But when we see it, we know what a car looks like.
It went out as well. But what interesting when we met up on Friday, and I think I put it on Friday. I says, "What did you think?" He says, "I've just shown Darren it." Well, it's Darren who saw that spike of light come out of the ground at the other side of that hill. Did you know what I mean? It were at the side where we were, not at the side where we were looking at the light. But then he said, Darren said to me, "Don't you remember after we'd seen that spike, we saw a light like that on hill?" I don't know if I told you this, guys. Did I? I don't think I maybe told you. He told me walking down. I says, didn't you think? He says, I'd forgot till Darren mentioned it. I'd forgot all about it, but yeah, we did. So isn't it weird that things happen and we just kind of not erased, but you don't concentrate on them, do you?
Can be like that, mate.
No.
Just
No.
don't seem to sink in properly.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Right, well, we'll try a little bit more. You got to add to that before we move away, Ian? No?
I was just going to. The other thing I was going to say is we do forget about a lot of things. Like last week on Friday was just talking about. I mean, you might cover it. What happened with Chris, and then everybody says, "Well, something similar to that happened to you," and I was like, "Oh yeah," and you just. It's not been blasé or anything. Matter of fact, it's just that all these little things just seem to blend in.
There's so much of it as when we actually. I mean, we've set that little group up now where we just kind of take note of any little quirky thing or any significant thing, and we're not losing it, because I think how many of us here? There's three of us, but who thinks we've lost a lot of stuff actually just because we've not really documented it well enough.
There's loads of it. I mean, the stuff that you've got on your different hard drives and computers and everything, you've file among file. I mean, while we're talking about it, do you want us to just briefly go through what happened with Chris on Friday?
Why not? Do it, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're all stood there. Nothing had really happened. We hadn't really seen anything. Nothing out of the way that I can remember. And then Chris just said he got touched. He got touched on his backside.
Yeah.
And he had like a smile, and it was like, well, we aren't surprised. And that's when it came out that I think it was Jack who maybe said, he says, well, you got touched on that top stand. Well, I got sort of like the bottom of my coat sort of like tugged, but it felt like something was sliding because it slid round it. Well, then Chris, who was stood behind me, and Jack, Chris said he ate it. He ate it on the material of my coat.
I remember
and
that.
Then a few months back was on one of the side stands, just setting my cameras up. I heard a bit of movement behind me, and I could actually feel pressure of someone stood on my left shoulder. I could like feel someone like leaning over, and I just thought it was Jack. So I carried on messing about with my camera, and when I turned around, I took my shoulders in to turn around so I didn't elbow him in the face, and Jack wasn't there. He was 20, 25, 30 feet away. So I just shouted to Jack, "Are you just been over here?" And he says, "No." I says, "Well, does your coat rustle?" And he says, "No." "Why?" I says, "Well, I was pretty sure you was stood behind me." And then roles reversed. A few weeks later, I'll pass this bit on to you, Jack, and you can take over the reins from there.
Yeah, it was the night of the Aurora, and I had my phone up taking photographs, and I took several, and then I distinctly felt a touch kind of just under the shoulder blade towards the armpit, but it was a distinctive touch. It was pressure. It wasn't violent, but it was pressure. I turned around thinking it was you. However, when I turned around, you had your head in your bag and you were getting stuff out of your bag. So it was quite clearly not you. But yeah, exactly, roles reversed.
Yeah.
And Friday night when Chris felt the touch on his backside, I was behind him about 4 foot, just checking on Pete's camera, and he turned around and then he realised it couldn't have been me. I was too far away. But yeah.
And here lies difficulty of what we're talking about. Not just where it touched Chris, but the fact that Ian's doing it, Jack's doing it, Mark, I'm doing it. We all do it with no proof of this, have we? We've as a collective, people have got to put the faith in the fact that we're not a group of people up there just imagining these things. I mean, and we do have visual proof, as in footage of strange objects. We've got that, but these quirkier things, they're a lot harder to prove, aren't they?
Yeah,
if not
absolutely.
impossible.
Most definitely.
People are coming out there visiting, and they get sometimes a small light on the floor, don't they, as well?
Yeah.
I
was
just going to say, Mark, while you're talking, what happened at your house a couple of weeks ago with your lass?
You mean with the cat?
Yeah.
With the cat, when she saw the cat? Yeah, she were sat on the settee. She saw the cat in the hall, and at present we've only got one cat. And then she looked on the settee. He were on this, but it were another cat that she'd seen in hall. One our cat.
But could it have been one that's got through cat flap?
No, we don't have a cat flap, and she's seen this other cat on more than one occasion.
And didn't she feel it on your bed once?
Yeah, it were curled up on. She felt one curled up on bed. So yeah, I think it's happened 4 or 5 times now. Either or felt it jump on the bed and.
What do you think that is then, Matt? Would you call that spirit or?
Well, as the cat, what we actually have, it looks like he clocks onto something in the hall. He's watching it and he's all wired up just to watch it, and it just goes off to one side, and then he just takes no notice.
Strange, isn't it? It is though, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what we've got here. I don't know whether it's a question as such. Paul would love to walk and talk. Love the walk and talk videos. Hope you do many more over the summer. Do you think if a TV crew, say from Discovery Channel, sent a week in Bempton Cliffs, spent a week, who can say? There's been people wanting to come up there. I don't own that area, do I? You know, it's public access. Anybody can go up there and do what they want to do. I've done a bit of work with History Channel, not History Channel, get your facts right. Ancient Aliens, talking about British UFOs and things, and Blaze TV. For most part, I'm happy doing what I'm doing with a group of people I'm with. And I'd probably, Mark would probably decline, I think. But if anybody wanted to do anything like that, I'd want everybody else involved as well. But that would see if anything happens, won't we? But there's been talk of somebody from a crew from America coming over for a while now, so we'll see whether that ever comes to fruition.
No, I'm easy, mate.
You what, mate?
Easy, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. So it might happen. Let's have a look. Do you think Congress, Anna P. Luna, will get the truth from the US government? Or we say us government from the US? I don't really think so. I'd like to think so, but I don't think so. It's been happening and spoke about for too long. I suppose it's got to tip one in favour of us one day, but I don't think we're there yet. But I might be wrong. What do you guys think?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No. They'll just keep drip feeding little bits.
Let's just fire a little bit more of this footage. This is not. Allegedly, this is not UFO footage. This is SpaceX. And Ian were there. I think it was me, Ian, and Pete. I don't know if were you there, Jack? But
I don't know on this occasion.
All I'll say is everything we'd read in the news outlets said SpaceX were visible for 3 to 4 minutes, didn't it, Ian?
Yeah. And I think that footage was what we got was at least 12 minutes, and we'd watched it before for a couple of minutes, and we weren't sure what it was while we was getting our equipment out of the bags, because when we first saw it, we were still on the path walking up to where we was going to be.
So what I've done, guys, I've chopped this up, so you're not going to see 12 minutes, because otherwise I think we'd have all been a little bit bored. But you get an idea. So if it's SpaceX, it's SpaceX. But these are just some things we're lucky enough to see. So let's have a look. So I've chopped this into segments. It's all the same footage. Me personally, I don't think that sounds like a boast here, but I don't think I saw anybody film that better than what we'd managed to film it.
No. When you watch the full footage of it, how it comes along and how it starts to emerge and change into them like butterfly type of shapes in the sky, and the size of it was enormous. I mean, it was how many times bigger than the moon it would have been. I don't know, but when you say, if the moon's this big in the sky, this thing was like this. Yeah, it was enormous. And then towards the end of it, when you look at it on a full screen, as you know yourself, Paul, there's loads of smaller, like satellites or whatever they are, that's merging into it and following it.
And the turning in it as well.
Yeah.
It's really strange. I suppose people might think we're on edge of saying it's something else. I just don't get how we managed to film over 12 minutes of that in those conditions. What you guys can see, it's not blurry on a few cameras.
And I stood with you. I come up the road to meet you all, and I could see something in the sky, and then I got out of my van and I went, oh, that can't be moon. It's too. And then I came down the path and it were all swirling round it. And then obviously got to you lot, you were all amazed, and I just couldn't work it out. It was just something completely different to anything else I'd seen.
It was special.
I wasn't there that night, but when you spoke to me about it, I then went online to see other people's filming of it, and none of them came remotely close to that what you captured at all.
No, and what were interesting, because there's been a few people online talking about it being something else, but it was filmed from so many different parts of sky, and allegedly in different directions. It kind of didn't make sense, but as I say, there's probably a lot more people invested more time in it than us. We've just managed to film it. We've been lucky enough to film it. I think
the direction of travel as well was different.
That's what I mean.
How it was reported. I mean, that came from sort of like the northwest, and then it was like northeast and came north to south basically. And I think online they had it the opposite way around.
Yeah, and that can't be denied because we're looking at Filey when we first see it. Yeah. You're looking north, but fascinating. Let's have a look at this question here. Would display itself for attention? I think this belongs to previous question, or just is there they there? Would they display themselves for attention, or just keep quiet until they left? I'm not sure where that belongs. If I'm being truthful, and apologies to whoever sent it. Let's have a look, Darren. Of all the places you go, is there anywhere you would be too afraid to go alone at night? I'll start with this one. I used to go up there all the time alone. When I was looking into those sheep fatalities, weird word to use, but that's better than other word that they don't like us using. When I was looking into that, I were up there at between 4 and 5, 3 or 4 times a week on my own. Trying to, but I don't know. Since hearing other people's stories and putting faith in the truth of what they're putting over and the fear that they've displayed as they've put it over and felt and that emotion, I'm kind of reluctant now to do the 3 and 4 in morning ones. Although we're going to get some late night or some full night campouts in a few locations shortly. But I don't know. I'll throw that out to all 3 of you. I don't think it's going to affect Mark. But go on. Anybody?
Me personally, there ain't anywhere that I'd be afraid to go. It'd be the opposite. It'd be foolish to go because big and strong and daft as you are, things can happen, and I don't think it's the paranormal aspect of it. We've had quite a few strange encounters recently, and the things that we've had encounters with have been very much the 2-legged people kind.
Absolutely.
So there's some strange individuals turning up from time to time. For what reason, we don't know. So I mean, we had a bloke who came up there a couple of weeks back, and he was staying at a camp at Reeton, and he was adamant he was going to walk back on his own. And I tried to talk him out of it. Paul tried to talk him out of it. Mark, who's much is about all the time up there in the dark, he says, look, you really don't want, and he eventually listened to us, and you give him a lift back to Reeton, Paul, didn't you? And it'd be foolish. It'd be foolish to do it.
Yeah, I think for me, Ian's not the nail on the head. Really, it's the 2-legged variety that concerns me more than anything else.
Yeah. Any thoughts on it, Mark?
I were out today towards Dalby Forest. Then I were up at that RAF Filingdale, and then I come down the back track, and I thought, have I to go right or have I to go left? And I'll go left and see if it's a shortcut, because I could see it with a direction. It was a few miles to go, and it was like a path. I went down, I don't know, 600, 700, 800 yards, and then it turned into a path hardly used, and then it turned into a drainage path. So I'd done, I don't know, maybe a mile or two, and then I just thought to myself, if something happens to me here, nobody will bloody find me. I couldn't get any further because all these trees they'd just fallen over in wind, and I couldn't lift my bike over these trees. So I looked up a bank in, and I could see another path from years and years ago. So I doubled up that at 45 degrees, but it was hard work. And I thought, again, if something happens to me, it'll be a long time before somebody finds me. And then I did another 10 minutes, and I got to the top of it, and I were back onto
a reasonable
track. So yeah, it's nothing of any odd thing that bothers me. It's just in case something does happen.
And you're alone, yeah. Well, it's like what Ian said about the guy we drove home a few weeks ago, and it's strange this, because 10 minutes before I come online, he actually messaged me. But the point is that, yeah, we wouldn't have felt comfortable letting him walk along them cliff tops back to Reeton. We just wouldn't. We couldn't let him do it. So let's jump from that. Let's just do a little bit more of this. Let's have a look. We've got these dash cam lights. So this mainly affects me and Ian, but you guys are going to see it. So I'll just briefly run you through it. The first episode was Ian following me, and we're just going through the village of Bempton past the duck pond, and I see a red light in the sky. Flash. Not literally flash, illuminate. I pull my car in. Ian's asked me if I've got a problem with car. Luckily, his dash cam had caught it. Comments were amusing because people have said it's my brake lights, but it was me that saw the light. So how does that work? I can't see my own brake lights, as Ian would tell you. So we're not looking at that one. We're looking at the next one because it's a bit more spectacular. And so you know sequence of events. So just watch this, guys, and see what you think.
I was up here. It was August the 30th, 2000.
I need to correct myself. I'm ahead of myself here. This is Dave Barnes, who was up here with me, and we've got Dave talking on the cliff tops. Let's just get this one right. Everybody can hear me, can't they? Yeah. We've got Dave talking on cliff tops about a light that he saw come out of Filey Bay. Remember, Dave saw it come out of the water, not me. Because, for anybody that thinks I'm just making this stuff up, but I got the camera on it and managed to film it. But I've never really included Dave's audio in with it. I've just said this is what we filmed. So let's just go and play it. Oh, we're up here on. We've got date, haven't we? Let's go again.
19. It was 8:30. It was just getting dark. And I was looking towards Filey Brig, and I actually saw this light, this bright white light. It did come out of the sea. It comes straight up into the air. It did like a 90-degree turn to the right and headed towards us. It carried on in a level trajectory, and then it went down into the sea, quite near to us. We both took some footage of it. We estimate this about 6 miles away from where we're standing to Filey Brig, and the estimated speed of that would be something like 360 miles an hour.
So I'll just remove that, guys. So I know we were going to talk about the dash cam. We'll do that in a moment. So obviously, how did we know that speed? We knew the length of footage that I'd taken, and Dave estimated the speed that it were going. So I don't know what you guys think to that. I know you've seen that bit of footage before, but I don't think I've played the actual audio where Dave's saying it's come out of the sea and then gone back down into the sea. I like bits of film like this because there's loads of people saying these guys are just making this up. Do you know what I mean? They're imagining this stuff. I don't think that can be imagined. Yeah. What do you think?
It's not an helicopter neither. I mean, Jack's ex-military in here, and there wasn't an helicopter that went nowhere near that speed, was there, Jack?
No. That was a great capture all round. You know, the fact you were in an elevated position, so it's going to pop from anywhere else. Dave saw it come from the sea. So it must have come from the sea. Great capture.
Yeah, I think so. Any views, Mark?
Yeah. What we've pointed out before, where we all saw those lights, and I think that one of the smartest things we've seen, those bluey coloured lights under the cliffs. But we know what depth's there. There isn't enough depth there for something to be that big, is there?
No.
So,
No.
and who pointed out to me the month, Paul, people have seen things like triangles either going in or coming out of the sea, and people go collecting shells, and it's 6 foot deep.
Yeah.
So you know the depth, something that looks big, is irrelevant, isn't it?
It seems to be. It don't make sense, does it? And
No.
that's the bait diggers who on the Wilsthorpe beat. And they actually know what they're saying when they're telling you the story. They realise that this triangular craft that they've seen, we call it a craft object, it's gone into sea, and they're telling you it's not deep enough for it to have gone in. And they're not after any news headlines. They're not after any sensationalism. You know, I have to go and find them to get this story that they've passed on to somebody I know. And it's fascinating. I don't know what's happening there. I don't understand mechanics of that at all.
Ah.
Okay, let's just go. I think we've got Michael Turnbull. Evening, fellas. Good to see you all together. Just back from Ben McDewey. What a place that is. I know that you'd gone up there, and I spoke to you earlier, Michael. I bet you didn't go up onto the mountain, did you? I'm not sure if you did, because I think it's a 7-hour hike. I don't know, but you've been up there, so it'll have been absolutely brilliant, mate. Hope to have a word with you tomorrow. We all know this fella, don't we?
We do.
Yeah, we do.
And Michael were with us the night that light came as well, which were absolutely brilliant. Rest feet up now, Michael. Right, we've got one here. What are your thoughts on what the visitation was? I think it was good. I think it felt good for me.
Yes, for me too. Yeah.
I think we're all consistent, aren't we? If there's 7 or 8 people there, I think we all feel the same thing.
It wasn't like a mass hysteria thing, neither, was it? It wasn't. We all jumped and said the same thing, because all our accounts was very similar but slightly different. But it all felt different. I mean, while we're on about that, the last time that I saw anything like it, which I think was potentially the same thing, it was totally the opposite. I mean, you was there that night, Mark. I was talking to you. You was leant on the fence. I saw a little flicker in corner of my eye, and when I looked, there was a bright white light on the side of the cliff. Well, the top part of the cliff before it dropped down into the cliff. And it was just there, and I was just like staring at it for, I don't know, a second and a half, something like that. And then as soon as I shouted to everybody and explicitly, it just went. And then I felt quite scared, and then pretty fearful. And I can't work it out why it felt so different to what we'd seen before. It was, I mean, we've talked about this before, but it's like something startled me. The startle shocked me, but then when I realised what had shocked me wasn't what had shocked me, it was like something else. It shocked me again, and I remember you saying to me, "Do you want to see it again?" And straight away I said no. And I think you said, I won't shut up for about 20 minutes, would I, or something like that.
It was strange that you would become so frightened of a little ball of light, but you did, and that's what I like about us lot as a collective. You're not so macho that you're going to go, no, I weren't frightened. No, it frightened you.
No,
say it as it is.
And then when people have seen that dark figure, people have maybe a bit of fear, maybe a bit dubious on what it was. And I hadn't seen that figure at all. And then, as I pointed out, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was stood there looking down towards the footpath, and when we all pack up, I get my torch on and point out everyone's gear so they can put it all in the bags. And I was looking forward, and I saw Ian packing his things away about 20 yards, so I put my torch on, and there were nobody there. And then I looked to my right, and Ian was stood there. But I didn't have that fear what other people had because, well, this is my theory, because I actually thought it was Ian. I didn't look at it with any question. It was just after I looked at Ian to my right and I realised, and I couldn't see it there. I realised it was the thing what other people had seen. So yeah, it were a different feeling I had to maybe other people being a bit dubious or a bit of fear over it.
Because you actually thought it were one of us.
I did, yeah. That's what I'm trying to put over. Yeah. It was one of us lot, and obviously when I could, and it were tallish and broad, just obviously like Ian is. I just thought it was him. Put my torch on, nothing there. So strange. Yeah.
And talking about that, I mean, we had a spell where a lot of people, and not just us, were reporting seeing this dark shape. Well, not a man, woman, just a dark shape of a person. And that's dropped off. I think Mark, what last person, but there were a big spell of nothingness in between that, weren't there?
But other people have come out there and seen it themselves. It ain't just us. And I spoke to a fella yesterday on Filey Brig. That's a fisherman.
I wrote that down. I was going to pull you on that one because you said you'd tell us. Go on then.
He's seen something similar, but he also saw something which is similar to my brother over in Huddersfield. They were talking to two fellas, and they were all dressed in tweed, and they were talking in a different, like I don't know how to put it. They were talking as if they were very technical, but they had old-fashioned clothes on, like 100 years ago, tweed and brogue. And maybe 30 odd years ago, I was in Huddersfield, and a fella in the same clothing walked on the canal, and he was talking exactly the same as these two fellas were talking to that fisherman, and it sounded like, even though in a different time, they sounded to be on the same thing. And this fella speaking to my brother-in-law all those years ago, when people didn't have the phones we have now, and he says in time, people will be using mobile phones. Nobody had them then. People will be using mobile phones, and it'll be a disaster. It will make things go very wrong in this world. And how does somebody like that know that we're going to have mobile phones like we have today?
And how many years ago was that he were told?
I reckon 30 odd years ago, maybe a bit more. I'm not sure.
So, do we believe in time travelers? Not believe, that's the wrong word. Do we think time travelers, the potential for people to travel through time exist? Possibly, if that's an example of it.
Bizarre, but it's like a coincidence, though, isn't it?
Absolutely,
yeah.
I'll just take us off track just temporarily. Are there any military witnesses from Hunnaby as they seem to know what was happening? Just stay on that brief. Well, nobody's got in touch with me from military. If anybody's listening, and you do know a little bit, tell us. Just share a little bit more. I'm all ears.
I think the type of military that I believe that they're not the type of people that's going to be coming forward in the next few years, are they?
No.
I think it's part and parcel of it to be. Once you're in that type of organisation, you're always in it, and you're trained, and it's part of your job to keep your gob shut.
Right, we've got one here from Rob. What about setting a hidden camera, maybe time-lapse trail cam, Speeton? Excuse me. My thoughts on that, and I don't know what you guys think. I think it'd be difficult at Speeton. Maybe you could do it in woods, but there's nowhere in that open cliff tops that you could do it, really, Mark, is there?
No, unless you put it in a spot where it's down at ground level and nobody's eye goes down to that level to see where it is. If you have it in like maybe a tunnel of bricks, if you put some stones up and conceal it inside the bricks, so it picks things up at ground level, but people up there can't see down to the camera. Because like that camera I set up about a month ago, I had it on there's a track where people go on each side, but there's a wildlife track that goes under the trees. People cannot walk through there, but all the wildlife goes through it. And I had it in the fork of a tree in the middle, so people walking towards it couldn't see the light come on day or night. And I had it up for a week, and I didn't get anything of strange and like that, but the wildlife, it was fantastic. I even had a mouse come right up to you can see its whiskers on lens, but yeah, it was good. I had loads of deer on it, badger, foxes. Yeah, it was good, really good.
But not what we want. But right, okay. I'll tell you what. We'll get to this dash cam footage that I nearly played last time. Watch me get it wrong again. Right, here we go. So we'll have a look at this. I've just dropped volume on it all for no other reason than, we can talk through it. That light is not a light that's there. Okay, guys. So we'll remove that. What do you think to that? Why have we seen that, Mark, Jack? Because I've no need to ask Ian at this moment. That's twice now. Once the first time, which I described, when I saw the red light, pulled over, Ian says, "What's wrong?" He thought I'd broke down or they got a car problem. I said, "Did you see that flash?" And then Ian saw that one. And my car, where was my car when that light went off, Ian?
It must have happened in front of you.
I never saw it.
How you couldn't have seen it. I mean, the first one, when you stopped and you jumped out and you was like jumping up and down and shouting, "Did I see that?" And I hadn't seen it. I didn't see anything, but you clearly did. And the dash cam picked it up. Admittedly, it's a far smaller than that one, but there is clearly something there. That can't be your brake lights because you can't see your brake lights in front of your car, and I didn't see nothing. But then the second time, that to me was, I'm glad that the dash cams picked it up, but it doesn't do it justice because the whole sky lit up, and I quite expected to come around that corner and see your car in flames. It was like your car had exploded. The flashes after that are the lights on the van that I'm flashing to get your attention.
Yeah.
But what it was, who's to know? But it's just that area is. We had that thing that run across the road on the railway line. Again, was strange. Me and my wife saw something go across in the sky above us. Unfortunately, we've looked and looked and looked and looked. The dash cam hasn't picked that up, or you can't see it, but you can clearly hear me and my wife talking about it. What the F was that type of thing? But it's in that area. It's just strange.
Any thoughts,
I was just going to say, statistically speaking, the chances of two flashes happening in the same piece of real estate slim, under. And then
Absolutely.
for the other things, I think, Mark, there was an incident of some lightning around that and some tree going down, wasn't it? Similar area? Is that right, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't lightning. It were some wires touching the tree and short on tree and just snapped a big side of tree off. And I was stood there when it actually happened. There were me and a chap talking outside the station. Cracked and banged, and it just fell over.
A bit more to that, Mark. You correct me if I'm wrong, because I remember you telling me. You said first of all he were taking a horse in, and it reared up, and he actually let go of it. And then a few moments later, or at the same time, I don't know which one were first, all sheep went to the corner of a field.
Yeah, it was strange that. And that were like maybe a minute before that actually happened.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Us just jumped up and
And then you said the lights, they were all like blue lights dancing along the power line.
Yeah, not quite on the power line, but where it were actually happening, there were like little sparky lights firing off it.
Yeah, it cut power off to Bempton. I remember that happening. I remember you telling me about it. But strangely enough, roughly in the same place as where these two flashes of light are. You know, we could have just done this stream just talking about bits of footage because, like Ian said earlier, there's that much of it, and I didn't want to do that. So, but yeah, interesting. Let's just have a look. What's this? Do each of you enjoy watching YouTube, such as Ross Coulthard, Jeremy Corbell? I don't watch anything if I'm being truthful, but that's no disrespect to people who are doing them YouTubes. You know, I just don't hardly watch anything if I'm being truthful. I don't know about you guys.
I don't.
No.
Sometimes watch Ross Coulthard, but not so much Jeremy Corbell.
No. Okay.
Yeah, likewise what Jack says. Little bits of what Corbell says and Coulthard, yeah, but it's again it's dragged out. It's dragged out, and some of the footage that they really sort of like jump about and get excited about. It's it's good, but not bigging it up. But it's minuscule to what we've managed to capture.
It's rubbish, and that just brings us nicely to that bit of thermal that you've managed to film, Ian, because that were absolutely incredible. And I know there's going to be people who've heard us tell this story before, but I'm still blown away by the fact that there were 2 more thermals there that night, and we were sent on a wild goose chase, strangely enough, for nothing. And there were only you who got it on thermal. So let's just play that. And we're only going to give about 10 seconds, guys. Well, maybe a bit longer. I don't know, but here we go. What do you think? It's hard to fake something like that, isn't it? I'm just saying it because I've heard a few people recently, send me little private messages saying that people are saying you're faking stuff up there. Are we? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Why? Why?
Why?
Yeah, I mean, it was the first time we used it. I mean, you've heard the how it came to be. It was the first time I'd had that thermal out in the dark. I'd only got it that day. I kicked myself that I didn't start filming it when I first saw it through start recording it, should I say. And I wish I'd kept my eye on it all the time and not turning around to see where you and Jeremy had gone. Then we'd have seen it, where it went, how it went. Would it have switched off, float away? I don't know. I'll never know that. But anyway, the main thing is I caught it.
Yeah.
And it's there for us all to see. I mean, it's better when you see a lot of footage of it and it's zoomed into the footage. It's amazing. Watching it now, still, I mean, it's amazing. But there's reasons why we're not banding it about all over the place because, well, there's people who will exploit it. Let's put it that way.
Without a doubt, and there'll be people after this saying, "Well, why don't they play alt footage?" And why should we? Do you know what I mean? Have you stood on in them conditions and managed to obtain things like that? No, you haven't. And when you look at the footage, as Ian said probably 2 or 3 minutes ago, that's coming out as regarding the best UFO footage ever seen, and this is the disclosure footage. It's not as good as that. It's not as good as some other stuff we've filmed. And I really don't think it is. I think this is as good as anything that's out there. And you've seen how many years it's took for them to put it out. So I don't know. What do you think of that footage, Mark?
The thing is, if they say we're faking it, we won't be going up there 3 or 4 times a week. And I don't know, 60, 70, 80% of the time we don't see anything. If we were faking something, we'd go fake it and then not go for weeks and weeks.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
There's a pull there, isn't there?
Yeah. There's a pull. There's a pull with it. Yeah.
Yeah. They want to see the state of the kitchen floor when I come in. You come in and everything's wet through. Your clothes, your boots, everything. I mean, I've come home from there before me. You know what I mean? I know I'm going to be scary to everyone, but my underpants have been wet. Or it's run down back of my coat. And soaked. Yeah, you're soaked. And wintertime, we was up there. That bit of footage that you've seen with me and Paul in the snow. I mean, my little beard was all crusty with icicles.
I've been up there with Bob Brown, you know. I mean, I should have had Bob on tonight, to be honest, because he'd have been able to contribute to some of these things because he's seen and experienced a fair bit of stuff. But I've been up there with him, and he were holding his flask, and Bob's he'd not mind me saying he's got a bit of arthritis. And he says, I can't move my fingers. You know what I mean? He says, my arms are stuck. He said, I can't bend them. You know, and that's how cold it is. We'll have to see if we can get Bob back up there, find some method of getting him there. But this guy's Simon says, go for a walk at 3 a.m. if you want to see something strange. It's your best chance. I tell you what, Simon, and I'm not detracting from going up onto the cliffs or in the forests or anywhere, but strange things, you maybe don't even have to go far from your home. There's strange things happen around our homes, whether you call it hitchhiker effect or whatever you want to call it, but the strange things happen. So, but I get where you're with 3 a.m. Let's have a look. I'll tell you what, because at 20 past 8, I'll do this. We're going to do that flash that we picked up on Ian's camera. You know, when Ian brought some footage to be edited, there were a little flash on it, weren't there? And we're going to go through that. And I know you guys have seen it before, but we're going to go through one that happened to me probably a few months ago. And Chris, a friend of ours, who's probably in chat now, has kindly broke it down for us. So we'll go through both of them because we're all seeing little flashes of light. And it just shows how significant these flashes are when they're actually slowed down. So we'll do Ian's first. I hope. That's the visitor centre that's lit up the car in it. There's nothing strange there. You see the flash? I'm slowing it down. You can see it. Keep watching. We're going real slow. That's the first bit of flash. Then we got white out. So what do you, let me just get off that, guys. What do you think's happening there? Because we never saw it at time, did we?
No. Other week we're on about infrared, weren't we? Where the government can have a drone cast infrared, so the soldiers can use an infrared sight without infrared on the site. The drone itself covers it, just blitzes the area with infrared. Do you think there's something similar there?
What, like an aerial photograph taken in infrared? I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a thought. Just covers all.
If I remember rightly, it was a foggy evening, though, wasn't it? Low cloud that evening.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So I don't know about that. And it was quick. It was milliseconds, wasn't it? I don't
just
see what. No.
So go on, Ian.
I was just going to say, yeah, it's just a theory that could it have been that, because when you put it up quite a while back, I seem to remember some of the comments saying, could it be the lights from a car? Well, it's behind us, which is 300-foot cliffs in the North Sea, and it's above us because the reason we know that is if you look onto the footage, you can see the railings and the benches, and they're actually casting shadows away from us. So it was behind us, and that area that's lit up in that, whether it be IR light, whatever it was, it's massive. That it's covered that whole field, that whole area. It's easy, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 meters across, and it's filled that area.
And none of us saw it to be that quick that none of us saw it. It's only when you slow it down so much that you actually see it. Before we go to that one that I managed to didn't filmed it quite by chance, just like you, Ian. Terry Brown come up onto cliffs to see us. When did he come? Probably 12 months since. I can't remember exactly. But whilst he were up on cliffs with us, he came back. He had a little walk down a bit further because he saw a flash of light. And he was talking about it to me today. He sent me an actual message on phone about it, just on about that flash of light. So I've recorded it. Audio ain't brilliant. And obviously he filmed it in the night, guys, but I've just put a picture of the cliffs in daylight on, so it don't quite fit because it's night time that he saw it. But just listen to Terry talk about this and just bear with us, guys, because I've only just recorded this off his phone.
Look over the side there just to see if anyone was on a boat.
Let me start at the beginning, guys. Sorry.
Hey, what, mate? What I can't get my head around was the night when I was up there with you guys and looking out just straight out on that horizon and that viewing platform we were stood on. I was literally leant on the railings looking out, flat out sea, and at original vision, that left-hand corner of my eye, that cliff face that sticks out, that's what lit up from beneath, not up the top bit, but from below. So as I was staring out, it's like, what it was is like, to know those double flashes you get when you're taking, I think it's a burst shot or something, you probably know more than me on cameras. You get the double exposure of the light. You get like a dim flashback, literally a split second, not even a split second, you get a brighter flash. So like that, flash. But the second flash is brighter than the first one. That's what it was like from bottom upwards. So as you're looking out, there's a flash on that. But I didn't want to start anyone, so that's why I walked down there. You know, if you remember, I walked down the path just to look over the side there, just to see if anyone was on a boat down there. I mean, I don't know the area, as you know. So I honestly thought somebody might have been a fishing boat or, I don't know, divers or something underneath taking photos. And because it was dark, using a double exposure, just taking photos or something. But as you know, we looked over and there's this waves crashing against the cliffs. That's what I can't get my head around. It's just so strange. I mean, you got these flashes of light people are seeing, and then you also got these flashes of light appearing on your cameras as well. You know, when you're stood there, the cameras are picking them up. So it really is interesting.
So let's just get rid of that. And I know you've not heard that before, but I know you know that Terry said he'd seen this flash of light. Important or need to stress, he didn't know anything about the flashes of light, did he?
Is this Terry Paranormal Coffee Lounge?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I should have said that.
Yeah. I remember that night because he was actually, from time to time, he was vaping. And on one, I didn't know he was vaping, but I just saw this cloud thing come up past him and just disappear. And I was like, what the? And I said, someone smoking a vape? And he went, oh, yeah, me. Because I know none of us lot do. And I hadn't seen him with a vape, but yeah, so that night, yeah, it threw him a bit, did that. But there was, I think he's a policeman that stood nearly in the same area. And it wasn't quite, it's very similar to the time of year it is now. And there was a camera flash that I saw it. I was looking straight in that area off the sea, and the chap next to me, the policeman, I think he's a policeman.
Yeah, it was Gareth. Yeah, it is. Yeah,
he saw it. Yeah. So you could clearly see the sea, and there was nobody there. There's nothing there. But again, it was a flash that it shouldn't be there. But he saw it as well, and he was, I was pleased that he'd seen it, and I was obviously pleased I'd seen it myself. But similar area, well, very nearly area. Identical.
And I mean, just before we get to Jack Flash, well, I didn't say that on purpose, Jack. Just before we get to that, what about Mark? Just describe to people. He saw that below the cliffs from that platform. What's there? How is there any chance of anybody being down there with a camera?
So rugged, isn't it? Nobody would get down there in day. So how somebody got down there at night? It's impossible, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm glad you said that. I thought you were going to say, well, it's possible. no, but
maybe would, but you'd be a bit fed up, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. So, Jack, flash a light. You've seen one, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. We were on the platform. I was looking towards the cliffs. We're all talking. Amanda was looking over my shoulder out to sea. And this light, I can only describe, it wasn't on the cliff, it kind of punched out of the cliff. It was different to lights I've seen before. And then as I'm saying, did you see that? Amanda is also seeing something similar because she saw a flash out at sea as if it was the same light heading out to sea. It was strange, very strange. But as I say, it's difficult to describe how I thought it was punching out of the cliffs, but that's what it looked like. Just on it, it was like and gone.
Yeah, well, you know, a guy came up to see us probably 12 months ago. Richard, he came up with, I think, his brother-in-law, and he were telling us about an experience walking from Filey towards Speeton, Long Beach, Filey, Reeton, and he sent me footage. I've got loads of footage, little short clips of phone footage that we've never played. And he's saying, Paul, he says, I'm freaking out. He says, a light just come off the cliff, sheer cliff face. It's over the sea. He says, and I can see footage he's got. Obviously, he's not got it. He only started filming when it's over the sea. This is a really, really clued up, intelligent guy. Do you know what I mean? He'll not mind me saying that because it's true. You know, he's a high-profile job. Then it split into two. I think it stayed there for about an hour. He's saying, I'm running out of phone. I'm just doing these little segments of footage, and he's walking back. And I think it turned red at one point. But just to stay with it briefly, then did it follow him home? Did he get any experiences? Because this is the guy that were laid in Bath. I'm not going to say a week later, 2 weeks later, I can't remember exactly, but there's some towels on a radiator, he says, and it were like a puppet. Towel went up and down, he says. And I looked and thought, did I see that? And then it did it again. So it's weird, isn't it? Is that part of a connection to what he's seen? I don't know. But he's not, that's the first thing he's ever seen. And
did a lady who you interviewed a few months ago, she was up somewhere near Reeton, and she could see the cliffs, and she thought there was something happening in the middle of the cliffs, like a fisherman.
Yeah. That was Kate in 1998, whose husband's grandma had the cottage on the cliff tops, and they used to sit on a night, as a lot younger then, weren't they? Obviously, but just late teens, early 20s, just watching this spectacular view, and they'd see lights on the cliffs. And that, I think they imagined there was some kind of channel, some kind of path halfway along cliff. Do you know, like you'd see mountain goats going along halfway up a cliff? There's nothing. We all know that, don't we? There's nothing. So, yeah, it's strange. The lights on the cliff. Right, shall we play this other one? And you guys stop me if you think it's too long, because we've got to go to Chris's. He analyses the footage of what he thinks. So let's just play this other flash. And watch me get it wrong. Let's have a look. Paul's flash. Yeah, I think we're doing it.
And here's what the area looks like once we look at it using a Psionics and an infrared camera.
I meant infrared light.
Very good, isn't it? Superb. There were a little bit of a flash there, and I don't know if I hope it's been picked up.
One sec.
Yeah, I've just cut that sequence down, the sort of event itself. It happens very fast. There's so much going on in that very short little sequence. We'll slow it down a bit. Yeah, so the white light you can see in the centre of the screen is just from the IR torch, which Paul's filming through the Psionics IR camera. That light's invisible to the naked eye, it's just pitch black. As you can see, there's a shadow appears from the bottom of the screen, and that moves up to the centre of that white mass. I've just scrolled it back and forth. But Paul's just panning around, he stood still. There should be no shadow moving at all. So that's quite a strange thing to catch. Yeah, so we watch that shadow move up towards the light, and then from the centre of that light, we see giving off this very, very powerful, strong light. It blocks out Paul's IR torch actually momentarily. The camera actually sort of seems to do a little bit of a freeze while he's taking it in. I think he's sort of totally caught off guard. Then see this shadow on the left hand side, watch it move away. I'll just scroll it back and forth, and you can see it move in and out. Now Paul stood still. He's not moving at all. So where that shadow's coming from is anybody's guess. It's actually a ball comes in from the right hand side. It's when the IR camera hits that ball. You can still see it there, right in the centre of the box. When the IR camera hits, the IR torch hits that ball, that's when it gives off that, pings off that light. You'll see as Paul pans away to the right, the ball stays on the left hand side there. Very strange indeed, but great capture.
Okay, well, I don't know what you think. Sorry for labouring on that one, but it's good to have it broken down, isn't it? He's done a better job on it than I could do. What's happening? Do you know what I mean? We're not seeing. I saw the flicker, didn't I? A little flash there, but I didn't see a whiteout like what that actually happens. No added light to that, is there? That's Orion. They're actually whiteouts that we're not noticing at time. So there you go.
The camera's not coping, is it? The camera just can't cope with the sudden flash of light.
No, absolutely. I'm conscious at time, and there might be a few more questions here, but I've just got one more bit of film to play, and it's only short. I've got not a lot more of it, but I've got quite a bit more of it. But I just thought I'd add this on. This is what I'll briefly tell you. My daughter, who lives in North Yorkshire, she were in a kitchen a few months ago. Stood in the kitchen. I think I maybe mentioned it once on here. She said somebody touched her on the hips. She turned around, thought it were her husband. There's nobody there. A week or so later, tapped on head, same place in kitchen or similar. Turns around, there's nobody there. Then, a short time later, don't know dates of this, she walked into the bedroom to tidy up. It's daytime. And she sees something turning and moving at the side of the bed between the curtains and the window. Now, you're only going to see a few seconds of it because I will do some more with this. And so you've got a gist of it. I'm going to just play that bit of footage. Then we've done with footage and we'll just go through some questions and see. I hope we get to it. Let me know, you three, let me know what you think it potentially is. Is it a spirit? Is it something building? Let's have a look. She watched it for a good while. She went out at bedroom, then come back in and filmed it. I mean, I'd have filmed this for ages. Nobody smokes in house. I need to stress that. Nobody smokes in the house. I mean, I've only played a tiny bit of it, guys. Just do it one more time there. There's quite a lot more of this. Okay, so let's just get rid of that. One sec. Is it not like that before?
I think you should have shown a little bit more because when you showed it me when we were up on cliffs, I could see more in the picture and I could see the length of it as well.
It was huge. I've not done that deliberate. It were an afterthought tonight because I remembered last week. Ian says, "Why don't you show that bit of footage of your daughters?" I think you put it up, didn't you, Ian, in a question? And I thought, yeah, they ought to have done. But then I literally asked Sarah if I could show it 10 minutes before I come on. So
I think it's a bloody good capture, is that? And thanks, Sarah, for letting your dad put that on. I have seen something similar to that before. My eldest daughter's seen how she's described it, something similar to that on numerous occasions. But to actually see that in the clarity that is, I think is really, really, it's special, is that? And well done. I understand what you say, Paul. You'd have been there like I would have been and carried on filming it.
Carried on filming. She said I saw it, Ian. She said I saw it, and I was looking at it. Then I went out at room. So am I really seeing that? Went back in, filmed it. I think she filmed it for about 30 seconds, maybe a bit less, bit more. I don't know, and then stopped. Then had another look at it and tried it again. She got 3 little bits of film, and eventually she tried to put her hand in it. But I don't know if people can remember. I said what a really frightening thing in our hallway years and years ago was seeing a light come round the door, and it looked like Guinness being poured into a glass.
Guinness.
And it was similar to that last bit of her film. you know, but she felt no fear. So
I've seen footage like that on the internet, on some quite big channels that put little bits and that on, and I don't think it's nowhere near as good as that. I mean, it's there, isn't it? You can see it. It's not a fleeting glimpse of something. What was that? Slowed down so you can see it chugging by, and it's gone. It's there.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I've robbed everybody here now because Mark's right. I mean, if you picture a blue whale, it looked really long, Mark, didn't it? It really long. It's entire length at bedroom, but localized.
Length of it, what you showed me, you could see all shapes twisting and swirling inside it in the length of it completely. Yeah, it was very different. Very different.
Well, her husband. Go on.
I mean, you can say no or bugger off or whatever, but why don't you do something with it and maybe put a shot up with it?
Yeah, I think that'd be a good idea. I just need to square it with Sarah. I mean, I rang her tonight before to say, am I all right to put a bit of that up? She said, oh, yeah, that's fine. But I wanted to put a camera up, just obviously not facing bedroom, if you know what I mean, near that area. But her husband refused, which is fine. I mean, it's his right, isn't it? I totally get it. And he thinks there's a rational explanation for it. He's been trying to replicate it with aerosols and all sorts of things. He really has, you know. He's and good on him for trying to do that. That's what we should all do. He's looking for something logical. And
I think we all say that, don't we? If something's seen or we spot something, we always try and think the positive side and try and explain it, don't we? But a lot of the time, no, they're
into an explanation. Yeah, you're spot on.
Oh.
Okay, then. Any thoughts on that, Jack, before we close that bit down?
No, just an amazing capture, and good on Sarah for allowing you to show it.
Well, do you know Laura came up with us on Friday, didn't she? And growing up in this property, we all saw what I've called these drops of light. Picture a teaspoon, you know, the shape of it, not with the stem. That's what they look like, real bright and shiny. And I was talking to Laura as I wandered down Cliffsways. She said it's still happening in our house. She said it's happening in the home she lives in. And she said, and she'll open a door and she'll see them just drop and disappear into the floor. But we'd all seen them, and not just as a one. We'd seen them as a family watching TV, and we'd all, whoa, did you see it? And a drop of light. So it just shows that it's happening. I don't mean it follows you, but I wish I had an answer for what these things could be. So let's just jump to this then. Christopher Withers. Paul, I feel these strange happenings are entering from the top of the cliffs where the cliff top lit up. I wish I knew, Christopher. I don't know what you guys think. I think it's all around us myself.
Yeah.
Any thought?
I mean, it could be. It could be, but it's not just the cliff tops it happens, is it?
No.
It happens. I mean, Mark's experience, it was a few hundred yards away from the cliff top. What I've seen, what you've seen, what Jack's seen, and what other people there have experienced, it's not just there in one particular small localized area. It's that full area.
I'm just scrolling down. I hope we've got a few more questions. Go on, Jack.
Can you remember that the lights that lit up the field last year?
Absolutely.
Nobody saw. What he's saying about going into the cliffs, if you remember that light, I think was 37 seconds, and it started to close in on itself. It was like as if it was drawn in on itself into the top of the cliff.
Yeah,
it didn't
absolutely.
disappear, it didn't switch off. It came in and went into the center. Would you agree, Ian?
I mean, just to put a bit of clarity to that is, nobody saw that, but it was one of the locked off. It was your locked off camera when you looked through the footage later that you saw that. You could see where it was aimed was across the cliffs and onto that bit of land. Is that right?
Yeah, and
spot on. Yeah, and none of us. I think there was 7 or 8 of us there that night. We'd seen a strange dome of bright light.
That's where I was going.
Paul was looking through his psionics at the time, and he said, look, somebody's walking towards us. We all turned round, saw this dome of light, bright as anything, and it just switched off. And there's nobody there. There was me, Paul, and Chris. For some reason, decided to go and see who this may have been or may not have been. We walked to the top of the cliff, top of the footpath, saw over the side, nobody at all. Paul's got thermal, night vision, all sorts. We've got everything. No sign of anybody. And then on the next morning, I reviewed my camera footage and I see this light. I think it's the light we saw. It turns out it was a different light altogether, and none of us saw. So,
but it was just before. It was just before that, though, weren't it? We're looking at the timestamp.
Well, it was just after, because
just after.
At the end of the footage, you actually hear your voice saying, "Ah, somebody's coming."
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, well, strange. Fascinating.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And let's go to this one then. Could the energy be generated from the tide somehow be retained within the cliffs? Is it being released by something? I mean, could it be natural? It's some of it, as in the light we're seeing. Could it be a natural earthbound phenomena? It wouldn't shatter my dreams if it was.
You can't rule that out.
No.
It could be.
But
it quite easily could be, couldn't it? We don't know, do we? We don't.
You know, 40 and 23 says it's not natural. I mean, potentially. I mean, the light that we saw, and by the way, 40 and 23 is the guy that's analysed the footage. So thanks for that, mate. And yeah, the darkness to it. I mean, he knows because he looks at so much footage of other people. He looks at lots and lots of footage, and he'd be the first person to tell you that the strangest stuff is what is finding amongst the things we're filming, which is interesting.
But as we've pointed out before, maybe last time we were all online chatting, that light that were in and amongst us, it was in and amongst us. It wasn't anywhere else.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't quarter of a mile up on the cliffs. It was there where we were on the balcony.
Yeah.
So, what do you think, Mark?
Very personal.
Yeah.
What do you think it wanted? What do you think it would? You know, because is it something that's getting bolder? You know, we've seen lights out at sea, we've seen lights up on hills and in fields, we've seen these little flashes of light, and then suddenly we've got something that's with us.
Well, that's what we've seen at night, and it were in and amongst us there. We see all these lights. Well, in the past, we've seen all these lights, and other people have seen lights. It's exactly the same thing going on in the day, because we don't go there in day, and even if we did, we wouldn't see a little light on the floor or a light on the sky, would we?
No, you wouldn't. No, you know, it probably is happening in day. You know, and let's face it. I mean, in daytime, it's bustling. We tourists and holiday makers and people wanting to see seabirds. And let's look at it another way. They've all got cameras,
yeah.
But things are being seen, and we know things. People do see things.
But I saw something about. I've mentioned this before to you. About 4 or 5 years ago, I were at work. It were 11:30, and I'm always looking up in the sky for birds of prey because there's some pigeons over on some towers. So I'm looking for peregrines and sometimes buzzards flying around. But as I was looking in the sky, something was falling out of the sky, and the lad I were working with, I shouted over to him. It were 2 caravans away. I says, "Look at that there up in the sky. It's going to hit them big towers." And it was like, as I've mentioned to you before, Paul, on here, it was like a big black lump, and there was something flapping on top of it. And just as it were going to hit them towers, it shot off horizontal. And there were two of us saw it. And I said to him, "What do you think that was?" He says, "I don't know." And I did think it was someone's parachute that wasn't opening. But then when I scale the size of it to the towers, it wasn't the size of a car.
Right.
And that was in the day.
And parachute wouldn't just shoot off in a different direction, would it?
No, it shot off really quick horizontal until it got a distance. I couldn't see it anymore. But it was so quick when it shot off. And as I say, the guy next to me saw it all. And I said, "What do you think that went up?" I've no idea.
No idea. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
This for you, Mark. Mark, could Mark could have been affected by low frequency sound 1.8 linked to feelings of dread? Yeah, you could have been hit by infrasound or something like that. I guess that's what he's saying, or some type of frequency. We could all have been affected by it. I felt that fear years ago when I was with Steve Ashbridge, but Steve didn't. It was almost direct. I felt it was directed at me because he were with me, and I'm saying we've got to go.
This quote, what this fella's given, what's the frequency from? Is it from something somewhere else? Is it from the government, or is it a natural frequency?
Or is it an animal that's giving off that frequency? So I think it tigers and lions can give off a frequency to neutralize the prey. You know,
I think elephants do it as well. I think.
Elephants, yeah, whales. Yeah. It's. Let's just get through a few of these then. Philip Wright, good to see you, Philip. Do you all think there is a parallel reality from which these entities can pop in and out at will? And do we create these entities by our thoughts? We might. I don't know. I don't know. It's all sorts of connotations that then, hasn't it? If you're religious and you pray and people believe that they connect with God, I'm not saying that God's these entities, by the way, but they connect with something, don't they? If you want to do something that's a dark practice, which is not what we're about at all, people do things to try and connect with that, and they claim they do. We're up there. We're not summoning UFOs, are we? But we're up there trying to connect with something, and at times it happens. What do you think?
I don't know. We all have our own different thoughts and points of view on it, don't we? And we've had people come to see us and they have different thoughts. And then there's other people that are really positive with a full explanation, with all the technology explaining it. But nobody really knows, do they? Nobody. No. 100%. And maybe we'll never know.
I think maybe we'll never know. It's probably closest answer we're going to get to it. Yeah.
But I do think the more people that see it and report it, I think it puts another piece into jigsaw puzzle. Even though we'll probably never know all these people saying what they see, and some of them are quite consistent with other people's sightings. I think it does have a value towards the jigsaw.
I would agree. So Simon says, we're programmed to sleep at night for a reason, so we can keep out of its way. So you're saying it's a singular, maybe, are you, Simon? I don't know. Or it's the phenomena's way, maybe. Or is it that we just need to rest? So, right, let's have a look. Interdimensional seems a possibility for lots of phenomena. Your thoughts, guys? I wish I knew 55. Steve Stockton's in. Good to see you, Steve. I can't see it actually because I'm probably way up the channel here, but we'll have to get Steve back on because he's got some amazing accounts to share. And I think Professor Simon's watching this as well. So, yeah, if you are, let us know. Give us some feedback on it later. Let's have a look. Right, to the panel. Mark Anderson. To the panel, has anyone aware of a large dog in Italy, and do you have any thoughts of the large dog in? No, I'm not aware of this. Pronounce that. How do you pronounce it, Jack?
Assisi.
Assisi. I'm glad you could say it because I couldn't. No, I'm not, Mark, and it's something to look into, I suppose. Or Mark, tell us about it, Mark.
Is it a spirit, or is it an actual large dog that attacks animals? Or I don't know.
No, you've caught us off guard there with that one, mate. But I don't mind putting them up. There's no harm in saying I don't know, is there? Right. Are some strange things meant to be seen, and some are not meant to be seen? How do you judge? Well, that is a better question than you think, that, guys. Because if we jump back to that light that we were all thinking were positive, then I feel like we were meant to see that. Then we jump to Ian's sighting of just one little light that nobody else saw, frightened him. It weren't meant to be seen.
I think. Sorry, Mark. Carry on.
And then there was that night where we've mentioned this quite a few times again, where I turned my lamp on and brought it over at top of hill, and there were a light there, and we both said, haven't we, Paul? It's as if we took it by surprise.
Yeah.
And I swept through and I went, what was that? And when I came back, it had gone.
Mm.
Was that one of them things where that person says we weren't meant to see it? Did we catch it?
That Mark is one of the best things I've ever seen up there, and that it's a bit sad really to think about it, because it was literally a split second. But we'll just briefly tell you guys, and it was Mark that did it, but he just literally swept his torch along contours at land, and you could see a bit of clearness of the sky above Mark, couldn't you? And his torch hit a little moon. That's all I'd describe it as. Yeah. What did you do, Mark? You went, whoa.
Yeah, whoa, what was that? And I brought my beam back, and there was nothing there.
Nothing there. That was brilliant. You were going to say something, Ian?
Yeah, I remember that night well. You didn't say, oh, what was that? You said something else, didn't you?
Yeah.
you said something else. I mean, I was stood right next to you both, and I didn't see it. I didn't see it, but yeah, I mean, it obviously made a big impression on you two, and Mark's ever since on quite a regular basis. He does his little scan and hoping for that thing to pop up. But going back to what the question was before, I think some of these things aren't meant to be seen at all, and we're just fortunately, and on some occasions, unfortunately enough, to see them. And is that why we're maybe getting negative back, because we shouldn't be there, we shouldn't be seeing stuff, and is it trying to get rid of us? How can we tell? Who's to know, really?
We can't, but I suppose we get an idea if we don't feel comfortable in the presence of whatever it is that is it that impressing it on us, because we felt comfortable when we saw that other light. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, much so.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's have a look at this. We're nearly there, guys. Dogman seems consistent through time. The beasts of Javan, is it Javan? Was seen in the 15th, 16th century, which attacked people in a church in France. Yeah, it did. And the reports go back much, much further. And I don't suppose they were called dogmen, werewolf. They'll have had their own names for these things. And it's just like the Bagest of northern folklore, you know. And it's the same thing, but we're going back a long, long time. So, yeah, why these dog entities, I don't know. Anybody got any views on that before we just about close down?
Anubis.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anubis, that goes back a long time, doesn't it?
A long, long time.
Oh, I'm going to put this up, Jack. It's meant in good faith. Jack looks a bit miserable. Ain't he got any tantastics, as in sweeties? So this is Pete.
I'm not going to respond, Pete.
He's not going to respond. You're not worth responding to, Pete. I've cut down on sweets on cliff tops, and I think we all have, haven't we? You know, we started. Yeah, I've got to cut down on my pork pies. So yeah, let's have a look. Oh yeah, there's a friend of ours. Evening, Paul, guests and everyone in chat. That's Mel, who's been up there. Incidentally, Mel were on cliff tops with us, and he said, "I've just seen a red light, like an eye in cliff. Just come out with it." It's a few years ago now, and I don't think you've seen hotels up there, Mel, have you? I know you can't answer me, but I know you haven't. But it's the strangest thing. So we're nearly there, guys, and thanks for spending a couple of hours batting these about. Evening all. Me and my mate was 100 foot from an angry red pulsing orb whose frequency changed the second it realised it was being observed. That had a couple of mates with it, only visible in slow motion. Oh, wow. Fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're not going to get to know where you were because we haven't got time, X indeed. But there we go. I'll just do a few of these. We're all right for a minute. Reminds me of the thing that crossed the field that you don't remember, Paul. But bigger. Oh, I know. We're talking to now. This is Pat. Unless it's somebody that remembers story, but I don't think it is. Yeah, that's the strangest one because we went up to talk about something and we were on Richard Dane's Dyke. We'll not go into detail because Patrick did it far better than I could do it. He were there. I was, but I don't remember. My grandson were there. He remembers me and my reaction to two people that I can't remember. It's a strange one. So I'll be confusing people if I go into it now, but you're right. It's strange how this phenomena, whatever it is, and I think that's what it was in this case, a phenomena, affects our minds. Let's just keep going down a little bit. Just bear with me, guys. All right, we'll just put that, and I'll just say that. Please remember to hit the like and subscribe button. If you're interested in the books, truthproof.uk or the DVD or Amazon. I'll not go into detail because we're just about there, guys. And I think we've just about done. There's tons of questions, to be honest, and let's have a look. You guys are gathering so much evidence, it's difficult to store it in an organised fashion. How do you categorise it? Well, if you saw either side of me, it just looks like a bomb's exploded because there's that much paperwork and notes and people sending me stuff, and it's hard to keep a grip of it all. But it's helped with this little group that we've got going just to correlate and collect even strange occurrences. Do you not agree?
Yeah.
Because things will just get missed, won't they? And forgotten about.
And I think things what we say months and months ago, and one of us will forget, and then another bring it up and just jog as memory for herself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I think, because I can see that there's a lot of questions there that we haven't got to, I think we're going to say good night to you guys. And if you haven't done it already and you're sat at your phone, computer, just give us a like and subscribe. And I'm just going to say, Ian, thank you. Mark, thank you. Jack, thanks for giving us 2 hours of your time.
Very good.
No, pleasure as always.
Yeah.
Right, bye, guys. Bye.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Is this an adventure or what? We don't need unexplained phenomena. I hope you guys are enjoying this journey we're taking you on. I know you come expecting to hear about big cats, cryptids, UFOs. We will touch on some of that, but I think it's worth sharing some of this with you, don't you? There's only 2 living souls up here today.
Because I can see it in my mind, I can see it in my head what I saw, but I can't describe.
Our eyes was closed, like a brightish light in my face, and I just felt paralysed.
Someone said there's something out there, so we had a look. It looked like a walnut. That's the only way I can describe it.
It was like it had loads of tiny little windows all over it, and it had lights in those windows, but not a light that illuminates.
Anyway, we were ushered into this lounge. This fella came in, he said, whatever you saw was a weather effect.
And everything is deathly silent. There's no sea, there's no wind, there's no night noise, because, there's foxes all over here. There's nothing.